Hello and good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the CEC EduSet live lecture. Dear friends, we would like to tell you all that in today's session we would be discussing on disaster and related concepts in the first half, whereas in the second half we would be discussing on management issues in context to the disaster. And for this very discussion on the two topics together, we have once again with us in our studios Dr. Asmita Bakshi. Dr. Asmita Bakshi is academic coordinator in CEC, as well as we would like to tell you all that she has contributed in various research papers. So we believe that her experience would definitely help us out in understanding disaster as a whole. So let's welcome our today's guest, Dr. Asmita Bakshi. Dr. Bakshi, welcome.
Thank you, Geetika. Welcome, students. As you are aware that this lecture is on disasters, its related concepts and its management strategies. So because disaster management is an essential part of sustainable development, and there is an irony that exists between economic development and disasters. Disaster hampers various aspect of sustainable development, and both of the term are rooted in a same process of ongoing global change. As population grows, we see more population are exposed to hazards. As population becomes more prosperous, more personal or corporate wealth is exposed to damaging events. And similarly, as agricultural practices intensifies or urbanization spreads, more and more expensive and complex infrastructure is exposed to damaging events. Disaster in this way hampering all the achievements and prospects for sustainable development. So in this way, sustainable development and disaster management are precondition for each other, and it is very essential to manage properly disasters to achieve sustainable development. So in this session we would be talking about what are the disasters and what are the factors that contribute to any event or phenomena to result in a disasters. What are the socio-economic impacts of disaster for any community or any nation, and how these impacts varies from country to country, and what are the factors that make developing countries more vulnerable in terms of impact of disasters. So let's start this session by understanding what the disaster is. Basically, a disaster is a consequence of a naturally occurring or human-induced phenomena or event that has an economic or environmental and other socio-economic effect on people. That effects are in terms of loss of lives, loss of property and any other significant loss. So here I said that disaster is a consequence of any event or phenomena. So let's understand first, before defining disaster, what are those events or phenomena. These events and phenomena are called hazards. Hazards are the simple condition or any event or phenomena that has a level of threat for human health, human life, environment or property. There are many definitions that are being given to the word hazard. As per the definition given by International Strategy of Disaster Reduction, this strategy defines hazard as a threat that has the potential to cause loss of life, injury, socio-economic disruption or environmental degradation. Additionally, an expert in disaster management, Keith Smith, has defined the term as a potential threat to humans and their welfare arising from dangerous phenomena or substance that may cause of life injury, property damage and other community losses or damages. So these are the definitions given to hazard. Therefore, if we look these definition critically, then we find that hazard is nothing but an event or any phenomena that has potential to create a loss, a huge damage to life, property and to environment. that affect human life and hampers the progress. So it is not only hazard that result into a disastrous situation. There are many factors that cause or that contribute to any event or to any phenomena to result in a disaster. So before understanding or defining disaster in detail, let's understand what are the contributing factors that contribute to any disaster. So the first term is vulnerability. Generally, vulnerability is if we define in a word or in a sentence, then it can be defined as a susceptibility to any hazard. So as defined by the United Nations, vulnerability refers to any characteristics or circumstances of a community, system or asset that make it susceptible to the damaging event of a hazard. And vulnerability also a product of any adaptive capacity of any community and the potential threat, that is hazard. As I have already mentioned that hazard is a potential threat. Now let's understand what the adaptive capacity is. Adaptive capacity of any region or community or any nation refers to the resources, means, strategies and all the that is present within the households or in the community, so that enables their community or members of that particular region to cope with, to withstand or to recover from any disastrous situations. So in this way we understand that vulnerability is a result of or a combination of adaptive capacity and potential threat. The concept of vulnerability can be understood with an example. Suppose a community has all the adaptive or all the adequate resources to cope with earthquake of a 4 or 5 magnitude. So in the case of occurrence of magnitude 5 earthquake, the community is well equipped, well resourced, and it has all the required capacity to cope with. Then the disaster, the hazard will not create a disaster then that could be with a magnitude of 6 or higher. So in this way vulnerability specifically depends on the adaptive capacity of any community. And one another thing that contribute to any hazard to become in a disastrous situation, that is risk. Risk is generally, we can say, is exposure of anything to get hurt from a hazard particular. If we see the definition, then definition says the risk is the probability of a hazard event causing harmful consequences, and it is measured in terms of expected loss, death, injury, etc. And if we see then we can find that hazard and vulnerability of any community results into risk, or we can say that the combination of probability of hazardous event or its negative consequences of vulnerability of respective community. As I have already mentioned that hazard is also a potential event, potential threat event, and risk is another probability of getting hurt. So there is a both are the both of the term is not actual term, rather the potential threat. So there is a difference between hazard and risk. If we see the hazard, that hazard is a naturally occurring or human induced any event that has the potential to create loss, or we can say it is a general source of future danger, whereas risk is the actual exposure of something of human value to a hazard and is often measured as the product of probability of loss. the difference between risk and hazard can be understood with more clarity with an example. Say two people are crossing an ocean. One person is on a large ship and the other person is on rowing boat. So in the both of the cases the hazard is same, that is long wave and deep water, but the risk of getting drowned or get capsized is much higher in the case of person who is crossing the ocean on a rowing boat rather than the person who is crossing the ocean in a large ship. So because the person who is crossing the ocean is in a rowing boat is much more exposed to a hazard rather the person who is traveling in a large ship. Additionally, if we see the example, then the impact of any earthquake is similar throughout the world, but the poor communities and developing countries are more vulnerable than the communities in the developed world, because the communities in the developed countries are well equipped and have all the resources to cope with the impact of the earthquake disaster. So in this way, risk and vulnerability plays important role to any hazard in becoming in a disaster situations. So unlike hazard and risk, disaster is a actual happening and actual consequences. There are lots of definition are given by various institutions or various organizations to define the term disaster. So let's have a look on few of them to better understand what the disaster means. As defined by World Health Organization, a disaster can be defined as any occurrence that causes damage, ecological disruption, loss of human life, deterioration of health and health services on a scale sufficient to warrant an extraordinary response from outside the affected community or area. Another important definition given by American Red Cross Society, and the society defines the term as an occurrence either nature or man-made that causes human suffering and creates human needs that victims cannot alleviate without assistance. If we look all these definitions and critically analyze, then these definitions tend to reflect few characteristics that are important to understand the disaster and its impacts. So let's have a look on the few characteristics and or features of disaster, such as disaster is a disruption or to normal pattern of life. Such disruption is usually severe and may also be sudden, unexpected and widespread. It affects human life in terms of loss of life, injury, hardship and adverse impact on health. It also affects social structure from destruction or damage of government system, buildings, communication networks and essential services. And the most important feature of disaster situation is in disastrous situation, community need outside help in terms of shelter, food, clothing, medical assistance and social care. Additional important feature between hazard and risk and disaster is hazard can occur in uninhabited area, but disasters and risk only occur in inhabited area. Let's say for example an volcano erupts in uninhabited area, then it is not a disastrous situation. But once lava flows and reaches out nearby villages and hampers all the ongoing life processes of the villagers, then it will create a disaster. Here in this picture you can easily see once a lava a volcano erupts in a isolated place, then it is only a hazard situation. But once lava flows and reaches out the nearby villages, now it's create disastrous situation. Additionally, we find, and many observations says that the number of ongoing disaster have increased in recent years. So why these number of disaster are increasing? Because of population growth, as I have already mentioned in the starting of lecture, that the number of disaster increasing because of population, urbanization, and alteration of natural environment due to various man-made or human-induced activities. So it is so these are all the process and concepts related to the hazard. So now let's take a look on what is the process for any event to become in a disaster. First, initiating event, then it also matters then what are the hazard threat and what community at risk, then what is the risk of that particular community and what the vulnerable assets they have. All these factors result or contribute to any event or phenomena to become in a disastrous situation. So now, as I have already mentioned, that disaster is nothing but a negative consequence of hazards. So let's understand what kind of hazards are there and how do we define and what kind of the hazards. So hazards can be classified into two major ways. We can say that is natural or anthropological or human induced. Natural disaster are all those disasters that occur through natural process only, and all of those events has the potential to create a disaster situation. The natural hazards include geological hazards that originates from the interior of the earth's surface, for example volcano, earthquake, etc. Another natural hazard is hydrological hazards are those who originates from the deviation of the water cycle, for example floods or droughts. Meteorological or atmospheric hazards are the next kind of natural hazards that are all those hazards that are caused by the mesoscale or small scale atmospheric processes, for example tornado, cyclone, wind storm, ice storm, etc. And biological hazard is the next kind of hazard that natural category have. Biological hazards are all those hazards that are caused by the exposure of all living organisms to germs or to toxic substances, for example epidemic or pandemic, etc. Another hazard is anthropological or human induced or man made hazard that include a non-intentional and intentional. Non-intentional hazards are like technological failure, nuclear accidents, transportation accident, or structural damage due to fire and building collapse, etc. Intentional hazards including mass shooting, terrorism, and civil disobedience, etc. And here you can see the other third kind of hazard is there, that is natural and technological. This kind of hazard is a hybrid in nature, and it is generally natural processed hazard which leads to a technological failure. And to understand better this type of hazard, we can take an example of Fukushima, failure of Fukushima nuclear power plant that was due to Tohoku earthquake that occurred in 2011 in Japan. Though earthquake and tsunami was natural process, but it lead to damage to the Fukushima power plant and caused a release of a large amount of radioactive material. So this is and this kind of hazard are come under natural technological hazards. Additionally, earthquake or and other natural process events cause damage to river dam, and thus they cause a release of a large amount of stored water and damage to downstream communities. So these are few examples of natural disasters. Additionally, if we see the disaster occurrence of during the last century, then we find the large number of disastrous event accounted into the category of hydrometeorological category, where we find if we look into this table, then we find that around 80% of the total occurred disastrous events is from hydrometeorological event, that is 8,880. Additionally, if we see the number of disaster events through decade wise, then we find then initially the number of events was very less, and subsequent years it has increased considerably. And if we see the last few decades, that is from 1970 to 79 to 2000 and 2009, then we find there is a considerable increase in the number of disastrous event, and there is almost 65% increase from the disastrous event that occurred in 1990 to 1999 to 2000 and 2009, which increased from 2,720 to 4,495. So this is the situation of disastrous event during the last century. And if we see the impacts of these disasters, so these disaster impact throughout the world, but the impact varies from country to country. Say for example, all the developed country have or experience a less impact or less fatalities due to all these events. But who are the most sufferer countries? That are developing countries or least developed countries. Here in this table you can see the disaster fatalities by the type of disaster and the level of development between 1991 and 2005. Here you can see, if you see the number of fatalities, then you will able to understand that OECD member and European countries, in all these two groups of country, all the countries are developed countries, and they experienced a very significant less number of casualties due to these disaster situations. And whereas you can see the countries in the yellow highlighted portion, that are developing countries and least developed countries. These are the countries which face the highest number of casualties from these disastrous situations. So one more important thing which is I would like to put here, that developing countries have around little more than 10% exposure to the global disaster situation or disaster event, but they experience more than 50% of the total casualties caused by the disasters, whereas developed country has the exposure of 15% to total world casualties, but they experience less than only 2% of the total casualties caused by disasters. And additionally, it is said that most costliest disaster occur in the developed country that cost around $66,000 million with 17,000 casualties, whereas the most deadliest disaster occur in developing or low income countries that accounts 1.5 lakh casualties with the economic loss of $22 million on an average. So these are the situations, these are the disparity that disaster presents in terms of casualties or impacts. So let's understand what are the causes for this disparity between developed country and developing country. The most important factor is geographic location. As we know that most of the world's worst disaster tend to occur between the tropical region, that is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, and additionally all the developing countries are located in the same region. So it is very significant for those developing countries which are located in the region where that this trend of regional location affects those countries, and continuously they are forced repeated setback to progress. So therefore, because of this geographic location and higher intensity and frequency of natural disasters, they are not able to develop properly, so they do not have such adequate resources to deal with the natural disasters. Additional causes are like they have poorly constructed building, poor sanitation facilities, rapid population growth, high population densities, limited resource for cope to and to rebuilding to recover from any disastrous situation, because they also lack their economic infrastructure suitable that is required to deal with any disastrous situation. So these are few concepts and few terms, the process of disaster and the impact of disaster and why this impact differs from country to country. So with this, I would like to end this session. Thank you. Welcome students. As we have earlier discussed in the previous session that the concept of disasters, its associated term, and we have also looked into the various factors that contribute to any event or phenomena that result in a disaster. We have also understood the process in which any event becomes a disaster and factors that contribute for any event to become in a disaster situations, and we have also understood the factors, the reason that make any developing country more vulnerable in terms of disaster event rather in comparison to developed countries. So, in this session, we would be talking about disaster management specifically or broadly. Disaster management is an applied discipline that deals with or to avoid the risk related with the disasters. It is generally concerned with the creation of plans, policies, and to implement them to reduce the vulnerability of community or to enhance the capacity of that community so that they are able to cope with or deal with the future disasters. So, there are many definitions that are given to the term disaster management. So, let us have a look on the definition given by Red Cross Society. The society defines the term sustainable disaster management as the organization and management of resources and responsibilities for dealing with all the humanitarian aspects of emergencies, in particular preparedness, response and recovery in order to lessen the impacts of disaster. If we analyze this definition, then we find then that disaster management does not alleviate or avert the threat, rather it is more focused on creation of plans to decrease the effect of disasters. It is important to note that failure to create an adequate plan or to properly implement the plan could lead to human mortality, lost revenue or to damage to assets. So, we can say that disaster management is a continuous and integrated process of planning, organizing, coordinating and implementing measures which are necessary for reducing the impact of disaster. All these activities include prevention of danger or threat of any disaster, reduction of risk of any disaster or its severity or consequences. It also includes capacity building of community to better cope with the disaster, preparedness to deal with any disaster, prompt response to any threatening or disaster situation, assessing the severity or magnitude of effects of any disaster. It also includes evacuation, rescue, relief, rehabilitation and reconstruction. So, these are the activities that are involved in disaster management. If we broadly see all the activities, then these activities can be categorized into four major ways, or that you can see here. Then first category is preparedness. Preparedness shows is generally those activities that enable all the community to deal with any disaster anytime, or we can say it is a readiness of community to deal with any disaster. It includes preparedness plans, emergency exercises, training and education, warning system, ensure first aid facilities. Additionally, the next important activity is response. Response activity happens when any event or any disaster occurs. It is concentrated first to provide immediate relief for affected community in terms of food, water, shelter, etc. So these response activities involves public warning system, emergency operations like search and rescue, building temporary houses, and providing all the immediate needs of the affected community. And the next important or major activity is recovery. Recovery is in comparison to response activities. Recovery are long term activities that help the communities to stand back on their foot or in a better position to deal with the future hazards or disasters. These activities includes rebuilding and reconstruction, claim process, insurance claim processing, various grants and aids that are provided for a community to deal with or to recover to come back into the normal lives. In addition to medical care facilities. The next activity is mitigation. Mitigation activities generally take place in two stages. The first is, at the first stage is try to prevent or to reduce the intensity or occurrence of the particular hazard, and on the second level it tries to reduce the impact of the particular hazard or disaster by reducing the vulnerability of the community or by enhancing their capacity level. So these mitigation activity involves building codes or zoning of land so that the community can prevent any hazard to occur, and additionally vulnerability analysis, risk analysis, public education and training system. So these are the major 4 activities that are essential part of disaster management process. If we see these 4 activities, then we find there are two category, that is response and recovery, are related to the post disaster situation, and 2 activities, that is preparedness and mitigation, are related to the pre-disaster situation. Along with these 4 disaster activities, there are many more activities that take place, and we can say disaster management has become an umbrella term for a range of activities that occur pre-disaster phase or post-disaster phase, and with the aim to mitigate the impact of disaster to all the communities or low income communities or poor communities. So if we see or if we categorize these activities into post disaster phase or pre-disaster phase, then we find the pre-disaster phase activities are those activities that help to prevent or to mitigate the hazard as well as to reduce the risk or impact of the disaster, whereas post disaster phase activities are generally response activities that help the community to recover from the disaster or prepare them to cope with the future hazardous event. Generally any disaster management activity work in a circular manner, and it is, as I have already mentioned, it is a continuous process and it works in a cyclic manner. Here you can see in this diagram the pre-disaster prevention strategies include at the first stage risk assessment. Risk assessment is very important for disaster management because through risk management only we may able to make our plan, to implement that plan and to recover or to mitigate the impact of disaster. So risk assessment includes hazard identification, vulnerability mapping or loss estimation. After risk assessment, mitigation activities come. Mitigation, as I have already mentioned, that mitigation is related to minimize the occurrence of any disaster or minimize the risk or impact of any disaster to a particular community. So in mitigation plans and policies are made, and that need to be based on our risk assessment, so that these plans or policies can be more helpful. So it includes mitigation activities include protective structures, insurance, and land use change plannings. And in addition to mitigation, preparedness and other major activity that need to be taken in pre-disaster phase, it includes forecast system, early warning schemes, and stockpile aids. All the preparedness activities help the community to get ready or to be ready to deal with any disaster and any time. Additionally, the pre-phase disaster activities also includes emergency plans. It includes to create evacuation routes or practice drills and to ensure first aid supplies in terms of medical care, in terms of food and shelter, etc. After disaster strikes, all the attention shifts to recovery or response. So the post disaster activities, all those are come under response activities. After disaster strikes, one need to focus on first to give relief of the to provide relief to the affected community. That includes search and rescue operations, to provide medical care and aid, and to provide food, water and shelter to affected community. After community get relieved from any disaster situation, then rehabilitation process starts, and that include debris remover, restore public services, temporary houses building, and after rehabilitation, reconstruction phase comes. Both rehabilitation and reconstruction is long term process in comparison to relief activities, where relief activities concentrated to provide immediate relief to the affected communities, whereas rehabilitation and reconstruction helps the community to get into their normal lives. So reconstruction activities includes permanent rebuilding of houses, improve designed houses, or avoid any hazards. After reconstruction is done, people get down on their normal lives. The main important activity is to learning review. It is the most important aspect of the disaster management, because if we not review the experiences, if we not learn from our experience, then we may not be able to create any effective plan and policies. Past experiences always help to prepare us for the future disaster events. So in learning review process, activities include to educate teachers and builders, to train volunteers, to inform politicians for the situation, for the experiences, for the vulnerability and risk of the communities and their needs. So that politicians may create adequate or sufficient plans and policies to implement for better understanding, for better management of the disasters. So these are a few terms, these are few activities or important activities that are involved in disaster management. So now let's take an example of drought disaster, and let's understand what are the control measures, what are the managing strategies that can be incorporated in particular disaster of drought disaster. So let's have a look on this. Here you can see in the first column or first line or first boxes, all the sequence of disaster drought is given, and all the initiating event in the drought disaster starts from the human need of food, and to fulfill the need, human wants to grow grains, and for this he chooses the technology that is rain fed agriculture. And in that situation, the initiating event is drought, and drought situation, the possible outcome is crop failure. Crop failure results in starvation, and the higher order consequence can be deaths. And you can also see on the bottom boxes, possible control measures are given, for example, to change lifestyle, to modify lifestyle, or to install irrigation process for apart from the rain fed agriculture. And in case of drought, water reservoir can be built up, and additionally government actions can be asked for, and foreign aid can be given to in the situation of starvation, and medical emergency aid also can be provided. So if one fails to incorporate all these control measures in the process of drought disaster, the possible consequence can be famine related deaths. So in this way we understand that there are possible control measures that are present with every event, every disaster, that need to be taken care of, that need to be incorporated in a proper time, proper manage, so that the disastrous situation, the disastrous casualty can be minimized or prevented. So there are some principles through which disaster management works. So these principles are like: disaster management is the responsibility of all spheres of government, that can be international government, regional government, national government, or local government. Disaster management should use resource that exist for day-to-day purposes. And additionally, it is very important that individuals are responsible for their own safety, because individual makes a community, and community are the main to get affected from any disaster situation. So individuals need to be aware what is going around, and what are the ways through which they can prevent or mitigate the impact of climate disastrous situations. So disaster management planning should focus on large scale events. Additionally, it should recognize the difference between incidents and disasters. The disaster management planning must take account of the type of physical environment and structure of the population. And the most important principle on which the disaster management works, that is the disaster management policies must recognize the involvement and potential role of communities and non-governmental organizations. Here, the most of the last or past year experiences shows that all the disaster management response can be categorized as command or control structure and top-down approach. But all the strategies that are needed for to manage a disaster need to be built on people's knowledge, their cultural practice, and government need to apply all those tools that local people can understand easily, or they can integrate those tools into their life easily. In this perspective, top-down approach that need to be and that are being taken up in disaster management are generally considered insufficient, or inappropriate, because they tend to have a little knowledge about the local dynamics, local people dynamics, their perceptions, and generally ignore the potential of local communities and their knowledge and capacities. So these are some initiatives that need to be taken care and to involve communities and NGOs for better disaster management, because communities are the one who get affected and they have a lot of things to lose in case of disaster, and on the other hand they have the most to gain if they are able to reduce the impact of disasters on their community. This contradictory idea has given the rise of a new approach in disaster management, that is community based disaster management, as it offers viable solutions for managing and reducing the risk of disaster and ensuring sustainable development. So we can see the community-based disaster management is a process of disaster management in which at-risk communities are actively engaged to reduce their vulnerabilities and to enhance their capacities through identification of the communities at risk and through analysis of their risk level or their vulnerability level, treatment, their monitoring, evaluation of disaster risk, and training and education. These are the process that community based disaster management involves, and additionally this approach, that is community based disaster management, also provides and promotes a bottom-up approach working in harmony with the top-down approach to address the challenges and difficulties. Additionally, it also supports local community to analyzing their hazardous condition and their vulnerabilities and capacities. This approach provides opportunity for the local people to evaluate their own situation based on their own experiences. Local community not only becomes the part of creating plans and decisions, but also becomes a major player in its implementation. Community-based disaster management at the same time does not ignore the importance of scientific and risk assessment and planning. Therefore, this approach acknowledges that as many as stakeholders are needed in the process, with the end goal of achieving capacities and transferring of resources in the community. Here we can see that this community plays an important role in disaster management, and it offers a viable solution for ensuring sustainable development by reducing the risk level, the vulnerability of the community, and to enhance their adaptive capacities. So, additionally, NGOs are growing partner or growing actor in the process of disaster management, as they have a lot of things to do with the community. They assist communities to do all these practices for sustainable development. NGOs' role in disaster management has changed from providing post-disaster relief to pre-disaster preparedness and mitigation through capacity building, public awareness campaigns, through mock exercises, etc. NGOs' involvement also proved beneficial for a number of regions. That includes NGO can operate at grassroots level with communities and local organizations as partners, and they also take participatory approach to development planning. This allows them to respond better to local people priorities and their building local capacities. Additionally, NGOs often work with the with and on the behalf of the most needy group of people, that are the most vulnerable people and the poor communities. And the third main reason why NGO's role is important in disaster management activities, that is, NGOs enjoy higher operation flexibility. It is believed that they are relatively free from bureaucratic structures, so they can operate relatively freely and with the coordination of local people and managerial levels. So these are few reasons why NGOs are very important for disaster management, because there are many activities they take part into for disaster management, but primarily there are 4 types of activities they take. For example, policy and advocacy on behalf of the poor and needy people. They spread knowledge and education through training, workshop, etc. And they also work for community-based risk and vulnerability assessment, so that more appropriate, more adequate plans can be made up. And additionally, it also NGOs also prepare community to deal with a future disaster by enhancing their capacity with all the resources needed. So these are few terms, few concepts related to the disaster management, few major actors that take part in disaster management process at all the level, that is international, regional or national level or community level. So with this, I would like to thank you and end this session.
With this note, we would also like to thank you all for listening to us, for listening our lecture, and we would like to thank Dr. Asmita Bakshi for giving a productive session. Dear friends, if you want to give your feedback for this particular lecture, then you can mail us at info.cc@nic.in. We would be meeting again soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you so very much.